Hello. Thank you so much for being here to share this wonderful film, Olga, with us. My name is Katie Walsh. I'm a film critic, and I am so thrilled to be able to have a conversation with the writer director of Olga, Elie Grappe, and the star, Anastasia Budiashkina. So thank you so much, both of you, for being here and for talking about this film with us. I'm really excited to learn more about how you made this film and what the process of it, coming out has been like for you, especially at this incredibly important time. Um, but Ely, I was wondering, this is such an interesting way to, talk about the Euromaidan Revolution in 2014, and I'm wondering why you chose to, um, frame it from the point of view of an athlete who is, in exile.
Because the whole theme of the film is actually to talk about exile. It's not a movie about someone who does the revolution. It's about someone who cannot do it and who just wanted to be a gymnast. And actually, I was referring to a story from a violinist that I filmed for a documentary. Uh, who arrived from Ukraine to Switzerland just before the beginning of the revolution, and the way she was talking about how the event entered her life and touched her practice of violin and her daily life like this. Um, it's really touched me, this story, and the way she was torn between her daily practice and her passion and a way larger stake. So I didn't want to jump in Ukraine during this movie. I wanted to stay with someone who cannot be part of it and who has just a very poor access to the reality of it, of the event.
I think that the way you film, through the performances, but also the way that you film her reacting to the news and being on her phone and talking to her friends and her mother, that sense of longing to be there and that sense of exile is really palpable and really it comes through so strongly. Like you really go on that journey with her. So I think you captured that really beautifully. Was that what were some of the choices, in your filmmaking that you had to make to kind of get that sense of longing and feeling out of place?
What was interesting was to to actually realize that I wanted to to work with gymnastic in a very realistic way, in the way that we are really with the character, with her point of view, with her research of balance, of lightness, her vertigo, and we had to really be with the experience of Olga in that. While when the news from Ukraine are arriving, it's full of pixels. It's also full of movements, but it's a very it's actually strange images, even if it's real archives. It's also the most phantasmatic images of the movie, and it's not like if we were here. It's more to try to create some echoes and conflicts between the both. And for example, the sound is very much alike between. It's almost the same between gymnastics and the sound of the revolution. It's full of metal bars. It's full of detonations, and it's a way to touch this feeling that have Olga that. Once the images arrived in her life, she cannot come back to the training without to have somewhere in her ears still the sound of the revolution going on. So it was a way to create some links between the both, assuming that it's just creating more conflicts.
And why did you decide to cast this with gymnasts as opposed to a violinist or another athlete?
Basically, because what Anastasia is doing, a professional actress cannot do. Anastasia, she did gymnastics for her whole life, and she was more able to know, not only to know how the tricks are made or how to practice gymnastics, but also what it is to be a gymnast, what it is to be in an arena full of people, or 30 hours per week in the training. And this was not something that I wanted to build with someone, with a professional actress, but I wanted also to be listening very much who is a professional gymnast. So she's more professional than the people I could have worked with in cinema world, you know.
And Anastasia, this was obviously your first acting role, but how did you prepare for a challenging, performance like this? Was it similar to, a gymnastics performance or training for, sports?
М, Наверное, есть, но небольшое количество. Никак не готовилась. Правда, никак не готовилась, просто хотела быстрее, чтобы начался фильм, потому что это было новое, и мне было интересно, как это вообще происходит.
Do you think that you will pursue more acting roles in the future?
Ну, не знаю, посмотрим. Цирк — это тоже актерство.
Oh, wow. That is performance, that is acting for sure. Ellie, I wanted to ask as a director, how are you working with these, gymnasts who have never acted on screen before, but they are performers? How did you shape your directing style to working with them?
First, you shape the directing style by listen to the rhythm of training. So the shooting cannot be made in the same way than any other shootings. It has to respect the rhythm of the body. So, for example, we tried as much as possible to play more than one time the scene. While we were during one take, we were doing many times the scene in order that the body is still warm, is staying warm. Because what they do in the uneven bars, for example, is really dangerous. So we had to be very careful with them. Outside of this, I would say that what was interesting me was their experience. So they know the characters, they know part of the character better than me. So me, I for my actor direction, I had to actress's direction, I would say. I had to build a space which is made by the stakes of the sequences, by the also the chronology of the film. But inside this space, they have to fulfill the space completely with their own emotions, their own words, their own reactions, and I had to be listening to that. For example, Anastasia, she had an intensity from the first time I met her that I didn't want to control at all. I wanted that she could express this intensity that she has in life, even if the characters are not the fictional characters. They are not the real people I filmed, but those people, they brought so much to the character, and I'm very proud that they had the courage to bring all of this to the project. It's so much further away than what I'm capable to imagine for them. So I'm very grateful to all of those people. You know.
Anastasia is very intense. Her performance is excellent and really evocative of that character. So you both did a beautiful job with that.
Merci. Thank you.
Anastasia, did you know the other gymnasts that you were acting with? And what was it like to be working on a project like this with them that's so, different from doing a, training or a tournament?
Но я не была знакома, но только видела на соревнованиях один раз, но и то она не снималась в этом фильме. А в момент, снимания фильма, то мы познакомились, как бы, и иногда общаемся, иногда отвечаем на истории или еще как-то. Ну, впрочем, было немножко сложно, потому что, не особо понимала, о чем они говорят, потому что не особо знала французский. Ну, вот. А так, всё нормально, понравилось.
Ellie, I wanted to go back to the way you talk, the way you shot the film and the cinematography. you were talking a bit about how you had to sort of adapt to what shooting would be like on their bodies and staying warm and all of that. Did you take kind of a documentary approach to shooting, or what was your, main ethos when you were, thinking about the cinematography? I love the way that there's such low light in a lot of the scenes. It gives the training a real gritty, authentic feel, like what it would really be like to be training early in the morning and late at night.
Of course, there is a documentary aspect because they are really training. They are doing things that they would do in the training. After the idea of documentary is a bit theoretical in this case because it's really how to use documentary scenes to put them inside the fiction, and in the end the scenes are very fictional. But first, I want to say that I worked with Lucy Bodino, who is the directress of cinematography, and with her we really talked on how to be uh, with the point of view of the character, and not on watching the character from above, or from a space which would not be her point of view. So that was the main, yes, the main approach. After, there is many scenes in the same room, so all the scenes had to be very different aesthetically, in terms of colors, for example. As long as Olga is installing in this team, that she's a little by little part of the team, there is more and more red in the image. For example, it comes from gray to the red of the flag of Switzerland. And there is a whole moment of the movie which is almost by night. So we had to, yeah, to try to touch all the shades we could of the light to help us to, yeah, to give an evolution to the movie also. Yeah.
When you talk about the evolution of the movie and the way that it looks, especially, we're seeing all of these themes of nationalism, especially with the colors and the teams and the flags and her identity, moving farther away from Ukraine and closer towards Switzerland as we get to the climax of the film. I loved the way you shot the tournament. It was unlike anything I had seen. You see gymnastics on TV, on the Olympics, but the way you shot her triumphant moment on the uneven bars and edited it and all these different angles, I mean, I had never seen anything like that at all. Did you want to take like a very specific, different approach to how we normally see gymnastics?
Basically, as we had to be very much with her, for example, on the uneven bars moment, we had to never see the ground. We had to be a little
Mm.
bit stuck in the air, and that she seemed to be trapped by what's going on. She shouldn't go, because just before that there was a very there was a very strong political moment. So somehow she's trapped by gymnastics in this moment. But at the same time, it's the moment that she's the most powerful. So we had to be in this kind of tension between the uneven bars, that we never touch the ground, and the whole arena looks like something very close. The sound is actually echoing to the image at those moments you're talking about. Those moments we have, for example, the sounds of the uneven bars are becoming some kind of bruitist music, concrete music, but made by somehow by our own movement. So it had to always, the direction had to always start from the character, and to be very much, um, uh, how to say, sticking to the state of the character.
I do want to talk about what it means for this film to come out now in this incredible, challenging, horrific time for Ukraine. Um, Anastasia, what has it been like to have this film come out, to release it, to promote it while Ukraine is going through such a horrible experience with the Russian invasion? And it's looking back at the origins of sort of what's going on, or ongoing issues with Russia. What does it feel like to sort of promote this film for you right now?
М, не знаю, я об этом как-то, правда, не задумывалась. Но я так думаю, что, наверное, это в плюс. Наверное, это открывает людям глаза, что это не так, как говорит половина народа, что это мы там все начали. Ну, не знаю, правда, о таком не задумывалась.
Thank you. Ellie, what I mean, same question. What has it been like to sort of talk about this film, which is, it takes place in 2014, but it's so relevant to what's going on now. I mean, talking about these issues, going, looking at things that have happened in the past. I mean, what are you hoping that people take away from watching this film?
So I think that there is for me as a filmmaker, the film is not. I don't think about the movie anymore, really, since the situation happened, and I'm thinking about. I was thinking about Anastasia before she left, and I'm thinking about all the very close friends I have there who are dealing with this situation, and it's real. I mean, there is a reality behind the images, and we have to remember that. And in the movie, it's the same. The images are very. It's it's um, it's a parcel of reality, but there is a reality behind, and we have to remember that. We have to remember that many things are possible to help the Ukrainian people, um, and uh, and what I can say with the movie is maybe just that the movie can bring back to the conscious of the people who know less about Ukraine that the conflict, the war didn't begin in February. It began in 2014 in a very specific historical and political context. And if we want to have to fully understand that, we have to go back to history, and we have to think about it and learn about that. And it's a specific context, and maybe also I hope that the film can create empathy with the millions of Ukrainians who are outside of their home right now. But most of all, I wish that the film can bring people to concretely help Ukrainian people with money, by sending money, and that's the most important thing. There is no comparison between the impact of a film and just the impact of concrete help, and that's what's the most important thing in my mind right now.
Yeah, definitely. I can imagine that going through the archival footage for you were talking a bit about it in the beginning, the pixelated images of what's happening in the Maidan Square. Like, was there, I mean, that must have been an interesting process to figure out what to show or how to incorporate that real footage from what was actually happening in the protests. What was your, philosophy behind that, or your approach to that?
First, we had to respect very much the chronology of the event. We had to try as much as possible to not mix too much the chronology. Also, of course, the question of spectacularity is a question that we are asking ourselves during the editing process. But those images, they are spectacular, and the spectacularity is not free. Once again, it's not about uh, being there, but it's about how someone who is a teenager is understanding or not, or getting to know what's going on little by little. So we had to recreate, although this by using those images like this, we had to recreate this feeling of having some kind of binge relationship to images, and without to know how to consume them or how to understand them. And sometimes she gets to know better, and sometimes it blurs again. We had to really be close to this feeling of trying to follow an event, which was three months of a duration, and so yeah, that's how we try to. it was very important to keep using archives and not to reproduce this history, because it's still a very close event from now. And when I started to work on Olga in 2016, it was very recent for the people, and so it was out of the question to reproduce barricades or things like this.
I think it gives it such a visceral, real world feel that I think is fitting with the authenticity of the film. So I understand why you used real footage. For Anastasia, what was it like? Did you have to sort of go back in time and think about your emotions when that revolution was happening in 2014 to sort of access the performance?
М, ну, ну да, вспоминала те моменты. Но когда был Майдан, у меня не было, прям на Майдане. Я была дома, я смотрела по телевизору это. И, ну, никак. Вот как идет эмоция, так и делали. Эли Грапп помогал еще. Ну, там объяснял, что ему нужно, как бы он хотел это увидеть, и там как-то так.
I do think the film has a very hopeful ending, um, about returning home, about uh, growing the future. And Anastasia, I'm wondering if you can talk a little bit about what you think Olga's journey is, in the future. What and how it might reflect on your own journey or your own feelings about what's going on right now.
Ну, у себя, не знаю, у себя ничего не планирую. Вот как идет, так идет. Сейчас все стабилизируется потихонечку, пока тренируемся, а там посмотрим, как пойдет дальше. А за Ольгу, как у нее пойдет дальше жизнь. Ну, я надеюсь, что у нее все было хорошо потом. Не знаю. Надеюсь, что все в порядке у нее там пошло.
It's a good way to live. Stay in the present.
I think it's necessarily an ambiguous ending, and without to tell too much about the ending, I think that the ending has two faces, and nowadays it's impossible to, and I wouldn't want that we are reading the ending without what's going on today. We have to. It's necessary, and I think it wouldn't be fair to watch the movie without to have in mind what's going on today, because it's more important what's going on today than any kind of movie. So the ending is not doesn't go without the present, and I hope that it makes it more contemporary in this way.
I think it does. I guess I found it hopeful because she returns home. Um, but th- watching it in 2022, you cannot help but think about what's going on there now. Even in the beginning of the film, when her mother is talking about the all the new construction, I thought, God, I wonder if those buildings are still there. It resonates throughout the whole film, which is, it's incredible that you can make a film that is set 8 years ago that feels vitally important today.
I don't think that it's a quality of the film. I think that just it's how present I'm or sometimes touching what the artists are doing, and I think that it's also to the artist to assume that to decide that it's going this way. I mean, and art is not out. Um, the character is not only realizing that a political event is going on very far away from where she is. It's also a character who realizes that politics is everywhere, and that she won't escape politics, because sports is politics. Um, Everything is political, and I think that artists maybe should realize that too. That art is very politic, and you cannot escape this scale of your of art. And I think if you do so, if you if you say that art is not politics, you're saying something political. You're just making a choice. I'm just realizing how much when you do film, you're not outside of present and what's going on outside of filmmaking.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if I'm
Well,
clear with that.
no, you're so clear. And it's exactly what your film is saying, um, that sports are political and that everything is political. And is it enough, that to make a statement or to, to be where you are? It's so fascinating. There's so much to chew over. This is such a unique film, and I just want to thank you both for being here, for chatting with me about it and sharing your thoughts about how the film was made and, what it's like to watch this film now. And so thank you so much and congratulations on the release of your film. And everyone watching this Q&A, please, if you enjoyed this movie, tell your friends, tweet about it, put it on social media. And it is playing now. It is available. So please spread the word about Olga. And I just want to thank Elie and Anastasia for sharing your time